I know that it is very hard, the time you are going through, but you can get benefit from this long time at home. Example, you can revise your lessons, you can read books, you can create things I don't know, you can practice sports, and you can even help your mother in the kitchen. Isn't it a good idea? بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Good morning. Today we are going to deal with argumentative text. But first let's look at the definition of the word argumentative. Argumentative is an adjective derived from the verb to argue. In this context, it means to give reasons to what you think or to what you say, whether you are right or wrong. Using, of course, arguments to defend your ideas or your opinion. And you try to persuade people or to convince them. In this context, argumentative text is a piece of writing in which you present a claim, it means a problem, and try to persuade or convince people to agree with your idea or your opinion. This is, in general, the definition of argumentative text. Well, now, how to write an argumentative text? The argumentative text consists of three main parts: the introduction, the main body, and the conclusion. In the introduction, you present the topic or you present the problem. The main body includes arguments, whether in favor of the claim of the problem or against the problem. We can say, or in other words, we can say the pros and cons. You give examples or explanations, and you try to, as we said in the definition, you try to convince people or to make them change their minds. Something else. The body of the development may include more than one argument. And the conclusion, you finish with your personal opinion. Here are some useful expressions for opening a paragraph. What comes to my mind when discussing is, almost every day you hear, today we're repeatedly confronted with the problem of. Some experts say that. Recently, I have read that. A friend of mine said, when discussing, I remember, let's now see how to express the first idea. Argument in favor of the first opinion. Firstly, in the first place, let's start by considering. Let's first consider the question of. I should like to begin with. Now, how to express the second opinion in favor of. Secondly, the second place. Moreover, in addition to that, furthermore, another thing is, on top of that, now, arguments against, how to express arguments against the first opinion example. Let's now turn to, but on the other hand, now it would also be interesting too. But an argument against cannot be ignored. Now, the second opinion, how to express against the second opinion. Another argument not to be ignored is, however, on the contrary, a further argument against is, here are two introductions as an example to the same topic. They were written by two pupils. What comes to my mind when discussing working after school is that I know that many children and pupils have a little job and that others want to have one. Every day there are more pupils who are searching for a job and there are more jobs for them. It shows that these small jobs are very popular. Almost every day you see teenagers who are working after school in the supermarket or in a cafe. Most of them are 16 years old and go to school in the morning and work in the afternoon. Look at the opening sentences, as we said previously. What comes to my mind? The topic is here, or the claim, working after school. This is the problem. This is, as I said, an introduction as an example. Look at example number 2. Almost every day you see teenagers. It is the same topic treated here. Now let's say another example. It is a short essay written by another pupil. The introduction, the main body, and the conclusion. Let me begin with the arguments against working after school. It is always the same topic. The pupils will have no time for other activities and for school. That's an important argument against these jobs. Because the students need enough time for school. Only then can they get good grades and good jobs in the future. With real jobs, they will get more money than with these small jobs for pupils. In addition to that, the pupils will have too much stress, and this is not good for their health. With other activities, they could relax, but they haven't got enough time for themselves because they work for the neighbor in the supermarket or elsewhere. But on the other hand, the little jobs for pupils can be very useful. By earning more pocket money, they can buy more toys and things they want to have. They earn this money honestly, hence they needn't steal things from shops. At the same time, they are more independent from their parents. In conclusion, on the job the young people learn how to work with other people in a team, and this is very important for their future when they have, for example, a leading position. Now, let's look at the introduction and at the opening paragraph, or the opening introduction. The first paragraph starts, or the introduction starts with, let me begin with the arguments against. Here the author exposes his opinion, which is against working after school. Working after school, as I said, it is the topic of the claim. Now look at paragraph number 2. In addition to that, an expression to support the claim presented in the introduction. In paragraph number 3, which is opposing the author's idea or opinion using this expression, but on the other hand, as we previously have seen. But on the other hand, yes. Okay, now, look at the conclusion. In conclusion, on a job, the young people learn how to work with other people and so on. It is the author's opinion, as I said. The author finishes his essay or his piece of writing by his own opinion. Well, now let's move to a task. Look at the text, read the text, and then do the following tasks. to deal with problem-solving situation or situational integration. What is the purpose of this section? The purpose is to reuse or to reinvest what you have learned in terms of knowledge, skills and attitudes, combined of course with your background or your own experience. Before dealing with problem-solving situations, we should first deal with learning to integrate. Learning to integrate is devoted to train ourselves to mobilize the resources we need for a given situations. But before that, there are some key words we should understand to be able to deal with problem-solving situations. These words or terms are resources, to integrate and to mobilize. Resources, it means the knowledge in terms of grammar, phonetics, vocabulary, etc. These are the knowledge or resources. To integrate, it means to combine different pieces to make a whole. But in this context, it means to combine, to integrate the knowledge you need into the situation. And to mobilize, it is to use the resources we need for the situation. It means to select or to choose what we need for a given situation. Now we are going to see together an example, a concrete or a practical example. Your TV stops working, and as your father lacks the necessary skills to find out what the problem is, he calls for an electrician. He calls for an expert. The first thing the electrician may do is analyze the situation to see what is going on. Then, of course, he will find out the problem. 3, he proceeds to fix it. It means the problem. And in this example, in this context, the problem is loose connection in the socket. Loose connection in the socket, it means there is no current. That's why the TV doesn't work. Now, let's look at the electrician toolbox. Of course, the electrician has a toolbox. Look at the toolbox. And what may the toolbox contain? Look at the picture. What you can see in the toolbox: a drill, screwdrivers, pliers, insulation tape, a hammer, sprinkler. So there are many tools. But the question is, does the electrician need all these tools to fix the socket? Of course not. The electrician is going to select or to choose the appropriate tools he needs for this situation, for this problem. Now, let's look together at some tools. Look, number 1, pliers. Does the electrician need pliers in this situation? Yes, of course he needs it. He needs that. Sorry. Does he need a spanner? No. Does he need an electrical tester? Yes, of course. An insulation tape? Yes, he needs it. Does he need a straight ladder? Of course not. Does he need a hammer? No. Electrical wires? Yes, of course, he needs them. Well, look at the toolbox. The electrician toolbox is a synonym of knowledge. The electrician in these situations, he hasn't used all the tools. He has selected some tools he needs for this situation. It is the same for you. When you are dealing with a problem-solving situation, you don't use all the resources or all the knowledge you learned. You just select or you choose what you need for that situation. Well, here is a task to do at home. It is a problem-solving situation. Due to COVID-19, schools in many countries have been forced to shut down. The government have decided to shift to distance education. Unfortunately, the decision hasn't been positively received by some parents, but others have found it interesting. They believe that distance learning could be of great benefit to their children. This is the situation. Because of the lack time we are going through, we cannot meet people face to face to discuss the problem or to debate the problem. You will post on your Facebook page a short essay in which you will express your point of view or your opinion on distance learning. Whether you are for or against, you will support your opinion by giving strong arguments. To do that, you should go back to the previous lesson about argument text. You will use expressions for opening paragraph, as we have seen. You use writing conventions, spelling, punctuation, capitalization, grammar, and so on. And you use internet for more articles that may help you write your essay. Good luck.
شكرا على المشاهدة. لا تنسوا الاشتراك في القناة، الضغط على الجرس، الإعجاب بالفيديو.